Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. And this is our Coming Soon and News segment, where we talk about basically films that are coming out and will be released very soon within the next few days or so.
Right on.
And discuss some film news, right, Matt?
Right.
Right. Yes. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing great. I'm loving the blue shirt.
Yeah, I like to wear the blue shirt because it's actually my only blue polo, and I have to wear it for work sometimes. So
it went straight from work to here.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Man, got to get you a new job.
I know.
Yeah, if anybody out there is hiring, email us, realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
It was just because, blue shirts.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. This podcast is getting more and more successful, and one day we'll be working on this full time.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're speaking it into the universe now.
Yeah, awesome. So for those of you listening for the first time, I want to give you just some ways to get in contact with us. If you do have any questions throughout this podcast or anything, you can definitely email us at realreviewmedia@gmail.com. We also have our Facebook, which is facebook.com/realreviewmedia. And we're also doing a contest right now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are, which was based upon me mistakenly purchasing the wrong movie gift card to AMC Theaters. So we are giving away a $50 AMC gift card. Really easy to get signed up for that. All you got to do is go onto the social media verse, which is like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, kind of the three main ones, not Snapchat or anything like that. Mm-hmm. We ain't there. Not at the moment. But go on there and then tag us and post a photo of an upcoming film or show that you're excited for.
Yep.
It'd be cool maybe if you want to tell us why, but just post at least a photo of one of those two things and tag us, like I said, which is at Real Review Media, and just to let us know that, hey, I did it. I did my job. Now I'm entered in the contest, and we will be announcing the winner at the end of the month.
Yes, and that's really awesome. And if you do happen to post Transformers 5 as one of your most anticipated...
I'm just kidding.
I really want an explanation why
Congrats,
that would be your most anticipated.
No, you'll still be entered, but I don't know. Maybe you'll...
Tell me why.
Maybe you'll get a half a chance or something.
I will personally reach out to you and ask you why is that your favorite, most anticipated movie of the year.
Yeah, so if you want to hear from Matt, you know how. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to be talking about two films here that are opening this weekend. One of them pretty big, and I think there's a lot of hype and a lot of pump for it. The other one, maybe not so big, but I think there is an audience for it, and I think people are excited to see it come out.
A little bit more of a niche market.
But more of a niche market. Yeah, or niche.
Well, it's like...
Nietzsche. That's
niche.
more of a philosophy thing. Yeah. So the first film we're going to start with is Beauty and the Beast.
Tale as old as time.
Second, Matt, take it away. So this is an adaptation of the Disney fairy tale about a monstrous-looking prince and young woman who fall in love. It's directed by Bill Condon, and it stars Emma Watson, Dan Stevens, and Luke Evans. Did I say things wrong?
No, you just said Condon.
Bill Condon. Yes.
Bill Condon.
Well, he's from New York, so I was going for a really bad Canadian accent there.
Condon.
Or a New York accent. Hey, it's Bill Condon.
So you're really excited for this, and why?
I'm not super excited for this one, to be honest, Matt. I think the sad thing about this is I love, and I'm probably putting myself way too far out there. People only need to know this about me, but I actually really like the original Beauty and the Beast.
You watch it every Saturday night.
I do. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. It's a great date movie. No, I'm just kidding. I have the DVD. Actually, the Blu-ray of this, and I will say I bought it on discount when there was a Blockbuster going out of business.
Sure.
And they had a bunch of movies there. Yeah, sure. Believe me, I wouldn't buy it otherwise. And I bought this as well as a bunch of other movies. And I really like this cartoon. This is one of my favorite classic Disney films, up there with Aladdin.
It really is,
and
yeah.
So I really do enjoy it for a lot of things. I think the music is great. I think the story is timeless, and there's some really good elements to it. I think the really big thing that's holding me back from liking this movie and being like, okay, cool about it is, sad to say, it's actually Emma Watson.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not against her. I don't think that she's horrible or anything. I don't think she's as great an actress sometimes as I would like. I think she does a very specific type of character, which is kind of the I'm upset and I'm mad, and you saw that a lot in Harry Potter.
Hermione Granger.
She's like, I'm upset and I'm mad and I'm very, you've upset me.
Expelliarmus.
Right, and she does that very well. Otherwise, she tends to be kind of a bit more of like a flat type character to me.
Okay.
And I will say this as well. This is maybe a subjective thing, and this may be nitpicking, but I've talked to this about a few other people. I don't see her as this character. I don't see her as a Belle. Okay. You know, if you look at the original Belle from the classic cartoon Beauty and the Beast, Belle was she was a woman, and she was intelligent and she was strong, but she was caring and nurturing. She was kind of like she had a smart wit to her, and she had this independence to her. Whereas Emma Watson kind of seems more like a kid to me. She looks, I think maybe it's just visually, she looks like a kid to me.
I wonder if that's us growing up with Harry Potter, that we have that. Maybe. I mean,
it's possible. And like I said, I think it's subjective.
Right.
I think it depends upon the person. I mean, what are your thoughts on the film?
I'm more excited about this than you are, I think.
Yeah, probably.
First of all, Dan Stevens, the dude is having a stellar year.
Yeah. I'm excited for him.
Yeah. He's in Legion. He was in The Guest relatively recently, not that recently, but he's a great actor. And one thing that I said the first time that I saw the trailer for this film was when you hear the voice of the beast, talking.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say he looks like a buffalo. It's kind of funny. Anyways, but when you hear the voice of the beast talking, it sounds just like the cartoon.
Yeah.
It sounds like, show me the, whatever, the girl, whatever he says. And I was like, oh, that sounds just like, I don't know. So I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to see this adaptation. I like the one thing that Disney does with their live action adaptations, and for the most part, they've been playing it pretty safe.
Yeah.
They're not taking these really just kind of outlandish, like spins, with the exception of Maleficent. Yeah. I would say with like The Jungle Book and Cinderella, they're very safe adaptations.
Yeah, and Maleficent it was based upon another movie, but it wasn't actually based upon another movie. It was like a prequel to another movie that did already exist.
Right.
So they're allowed to, in my opinion, take some creative license there.
Right, but it wasn't a straightforward adaptation either. So the biggest thing with this is I think it could be really good. I think we'll just have to wait and see. I'll be taking my wife to see it. I think this weekend.
Yeah, the thing is there's so many other leading ladies out there that I really could have seen kind of get into this role and be a better Belle, that just kind of look the part more to me.
Yeah.
And it makes me question. I heard her sing
like Amy Poehler.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Great. No, even like not necessarily, but like Amy Adams potentially.
Sure.
Just somebody that it's more of like an adult.
She was in Enchanted. She could probably play something like that off.
But like, she just comes across as being a kid in this. And in the cartoon, she didn't come across that way. And I was going to say, the other things I've heard her saying, she's okay.
Yeah.
She's not blowing me out of the water. She's not like, oh my goodness, best voice ever. Like, I can't believe Emma Watson never recorded anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm kind of excited to see it. You're meh.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably at like a 6 out of 10. Okay. I'll probably end up seeing this just because the other film we're about to talk about, I'm not as excited to see that because it falls more in your favorite genre,
right,
and not mine.
So I would give this guy a 7.5 excitement, maybe an 8.
Cool.
But yeah, that leads us very nicely into our next film, which I would like to call counter programming to Beauty and the Beast, and that is
absolutely 100%.
That is the Belko Experiment.
Yes.
So this is the description on IMDb if you haven't heard about it. In a twisted social experiment, 80 Americans are locked in their high-rise corporate office in Bogota, Colombia, and ordered by an unknown voice coming from the company's intercom system to participate in a deadly game of kill or be killed. So this is kind of like The Office, but with like the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Or Office Space, I should say. And they say that in their marketing. It's Office Space meets Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like what the Hunger Games came from. So it's kind of the same thing. If you can imagine the darkest episode of The Office where Jim pranks Dwight into believing that the Hunger Games are real in the office, that's probably what would happen.
There you go. Yeah. Which that would have been very, very dark for the show.
So this is really interesting to me, and not so much for the horror aspects of it. I do like the genre. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I do like the genre. This has that, not just the horror elements of it, but the psychological aspect of it. What would people do in this situation? They're told, hey, you have to kill people or we're going to kill you because somehow they have implants in the back of their head by working at the Belko company that if that can explode. I don't know why. I'm not sure. Hopefully they'll explain it in the movie. But
hopefully
it's that, like they said, it's a social experiment. Like what what would people do in an extreme situation? That's always fascinating to me. I got a degree in psychology, so
Yeah.
I think maybe that's what appeals to me. I'm like, what would people do? What would I do? How would I handle this situation? And it's getting some fairly okay buzz. It's not like overwhelmingly positive, but it's not negative either. So the thing that's interesting to me about this movie is it's written by James Gunn.
Yes.
So he's our Guardians of the Galaxy Helmer.
Right.
Parts 1 and 2.
And he's done some other horror type films. I mean, he did Slither,
but that's more of the comedy horror,
Yeah, I actually I need to go back maybe and watch that. I don't know how good it isn't, but he also did the screenplay for Dawn of the Dead. I don't know if he directed that one, but he did the screenplay for Dawn of the Dead.
Zack Snyder directed that.
Yeah, so the remake for it, which totally fits.
I actually like that one, actually. Yeah. That might be my favorite Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like a Zack Snyder film, so except for a couple scenes. So I'm excited for that aspect because I think James Gunn can be a good writer.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about the director here, Greg McLean. He looks like a guy. He's done a lot of kind of more silly type looking. I wouldn't say silly, but low budget type horror movies, and this has the feel, at least stylistically, of a bit of a low budget type indie horror movie. But I think one of the things that does interest me is the fact that James Gunn is writing it, and from the previews and even the way they're explaining it, it does look like it's kind of trying to float that really difficult line of sort of horror humor.
Yeah.
Like funny and also horrific. And I do like that at times. I'm a big fan of when they can make it kind of a bit of both. But it's a very difficult line to walk.
Right. Well, we'll see. I mean, it could be. Remember, you weren't really that pumped for Get Out because
I wasn't.
You're not a horror guy, but it ended up being not really a horror movie.
You're turning me into a horror man, Matt. What are you doing to me?
But another thing, just a side note, I'm excited to see John Gallagher Jr. in this.
Yes.
Who was in one of my favorite movies from last year, 10 Cloverfield Lane, and I think his sensibilities. He's almost got more of a laid back like Charlie Day about him. Yeah. That's kind of what I made back. He's not as like manic as Charlie Day is, but he's got
more of a southern thing than Charlie does.
Right.
But I absolutely agree. And I will say, hopefully things turn out better for him.
Right.
They did in that movie.
Spoiler alert.
Right.
Yeah. But no. So my excitement level for Belko, I give it 8.
8? Wow.
Yeah, give it an 8.
This is higher for me than Beauty and the Beast. I would say maybe a 7 out of 10.
All right, cool.
I probably will try and see this one, even though I'm not super looking forward to it.
What if Beauty and the Beast and the Belko Experiment are really in the same universe and they cross paths? There's like a crossover episode, like thing that happens.
If that were the case, then I believe that the Beast would kill everybody. He'd probably go through there and just destroy everybody.
Okay.
He's got
James Gunn, make it happen. You got a new script for a sequel.
That would be very interesting. I don't see that happening, but yeah, there we go. Yeah.
But that's it for what's opening this week, at least wide release.
Yeah.
And that actually kind of brings us into our next one. I want to talk about a few news items.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, there was actually a couple days ago, maybe yesterday actually, they dropped the last full-length trailer for the Wonder Woman movie.
Number 3, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
Did you get a chance to watch it?
I did.
You did?
Yep.
What did you think?
It got me less excited.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's definitely, it feels like, it felt like they were holding a lot of colored cards close to their chest in regard to different elements of the story, where her like how she gets trained and where the story goes and what happens and how they get connected, like the main characters. And it felt like with this one, they definitely showed you kind of the progression of the story. It's going to start on the island probably, and she's going to be training there, and she's going to be raised as this fighter that was kind of like everybody hated her. And I'm also, I try to read comic books, but I don't have the time, so I'm not super familiar with the comic book, unfortunately. But I was really excited for it in the first trailer because the first trailer was really just this action thing, and you really had no concept.
It was a Comic-Con one, right?
Right, yeah, and you really had no concept of how some of these action scenes kind of tied into each other.
Right.
But this one felt very formulaic. It felt very much like, okay, she's facing off against adversity that she has to overcome, and then she becomes the best, and then she has to go on this hero's journey where she meets this guy, and then it's the romantic interest, and it just felt very formulaic. And whereas before, maybe like I said, because they were holding so many cards close to their chest, it screamed out kind of new and inventive.
Right.
But now it's starting to go like, okay, maybe DC's gonna do the same thing again.
Well, let's say this, okay? Yeah. You play the card of formulaic. I say that the other DC films haven't really been that kind of formulaic up to this point. I think, in my opinion, that
I'm like thinking through all the DC films now.
There's not a lot to choose from.
Yeah, 3.
So this trailer it didn't temper my excitement. It didn't make me more excited, but it kept me at the same level of excitement, which is pretty high.
Yeah.
I really, really liked it. I like seeing some of the story elements. It looks like they're, and I hate saying this, taking a page out of the Marvel playbook.
Yeah.
By giving it that formula. And I think they need a standard story formula just because they seem to be struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
On the DC side of it. Not financially, but critically. I still think, and I would bet money on this if I had any money, I would bet money that this would be the first critically fresh DC rated movie.
Yeah.
In the new DCEU. This is not including the Dark Knight trilogy, which is not part of the DC cinematic universe.
I could see that, but I don't think it's going to be like 90%. I would say it's probably going to be closer to like 60s and 70s.
I would say 72. Okay. That's what I would guess.
Yeah, which to me means it's okay, but it's not like, and that's the thing. I had it at like maybe an 80, like 80, 90, and it's kind of moved me down to more of a realistic, I think like 60 or 70 kind of range with it as far as a Rotten Tomato score goes.
So here's the thing with that. I know that Rotten Tomatoes is a little bit different. They had the Gareth Edwards Godzilla at the 2014 one at 72%.
Yeah.
And when it was all said and done, I really liked it. I would have rated that a lot higher than that.
I would have rated it, in the 80s.
So I would say, I can go with that. But for me, Rotten Tomatoes, if it's above a 70, typically that means I will say typically, not all the time. It means
I'm going to hold you to it, man.
Right. I'll probably like it.
Yeah.
60s for me is when it gets in that weird gray area on Rotten Tomatoes. So I'm like, this could go either way. I don't really know, but I'm excited for this. I'm excited to see they're showing a little bit of humor.
Yeah.
They're doing the Marvel humor thing.
Yeah.
I think Patty Jenkins has a lot, and I think the biggest thing it has going for it is that it looks really far removed from anything we've seen in the DC universe.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So here's what I would say though. I didn't have a problem with them going non-formulaic. The biggest problem that I did have a problem with their stories, but I just really had a problem with their stories not making sense.
Right.
And really with their characterizations, and then also the style of and the pacing of their films.
Right.
I mean, they were just so like longly boring and just leading, and they just, especially with like Batman v Superman, it was like all these different plots that had all these different things to do with other things. You know what I mean? So I like the fact, I can get behind the fact that they're going to go straight forward with it.
Martha.
Yeah. Much. Where'd you know that name from? How do you know that name? Tell me right now. Where are the drugs? Wait, wrong movie. Yeah. So I was totally fine with them. I'm fine with them going formulaic, but I'm just hoping that doesn't mean, because that can still be very boring. Yeah. If any other studio came out with a film and it was just completely formulaic and went down the standard like hero's journey path, and they hadn't had all these flops going before it, then people would have been like, it's derivative. So I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm excited about it. I thought it was a good trailer, though.
Yep.
Okay, the next bit of news here is kind of just more of an opinion theme because...
It's kind of an update, but this one is going to impact us for a long time.
I know. For the foreseeable decade.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Avatar 2, which was... up until the last few days, James Cameron was planning on releasing at the end of 2018. Yeah. It was going to compete with one of the Star Wars spin-off movies.
Right.
So it's not happening anymore. James Cameron's like, nah.
Shocker.
Not 2018.
Yeah. It's been pushed back 3 times now.
Yeah, it was supposed to be released in 2017 originally. Yeah. Then he's like, nah, still working on some stuff. And he keeps saying he has 3 more Avatar movies.
Yeah, so they're telling, from what I understand, they're planning on making 5 movies total.
Oh my gosh.
So
the
first
4
one,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, the first one, and then they're going to have it up to Avatar 5.
Wow.
But the reason that I read, and I don't know how true this is because I've only read it in a couple of places so far, but is that they put together a plot that basically spans across that many movies. So it's going to be like Pirates of the Caribbean,
oh, no.
but like on steroids. So it's going to go across, this many films that they all tie together. So they have their work cut out for them.
Right.
I think the difficulty of doing something like that is, it worked for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It worked really well for Lord of the Rings. It worked well for Star Wars, but it did not work for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
It did not work for Matrix. There's plenty of examples of it not working, and there's a couple that I can kind of think of it actually working. Right. So we'll see if they can pull this out. I think the films, in a sense, are very simple films. I mean, he does create these very intricate worlds with like very detailed graphics. But we're not talking rocket science here. It's we're just talking about it's the hero's journey. Basically, man,
Ferngully.
Yeah, man faces off against adversity and has to overcome it and learns how to be a better version of himself.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's like the big thing that happened in the first. It was like Ferngully, meets Dances with Wolves.
Yep.
And most of his films are like that. You know what I mean? For the most part these days, it's Titanic.
Yeah.
But, so we'll see.
He does that. So James Cameron, he innovates. He's an innovator.
He innovates technology-wise.
Right.
He innovates what he's willing to do with cinema.
Right. So what he does is he makes a movie, makes a ton of money, and then goes into hiding for 10 years.
Yes.
And then he starts targeting, another movie.
Right. And probably people already know this by now, but Avatar was in development for years, for a long time, for like decade or so.
It was the first one after Titanic.
Right. I mean, he had other ones. I think Abyss came out.
Abyss was before
Was
Titanic.
before? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look. I'm not sure. But I think he had like a documentary type one that came out, but I'm not sure.
Oh, that was a Titanic. It was a documentary.
Yeah. So it takes him a really long time to get to these movies because he's had basically some of the most popular movies of all time.
Right.
You know what I mean? If not at times the most wealth, collecting.
He's
films.
the most successful sequel maker. I will say that.
Yeah.
Aliens, Terminator 2.
Yeah. Those are great films. I love those. Yep. And so we'll see. I mean, maybe he's got something that we've never seen before in mind that'll just blow us out of the water.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I liked Avatar. It was a cool visual experience, but I think I only saw it one time, honestly.
I did too. I think, I saw it twice because I think somebody else wanted to go see it, but the visually was gorgeous.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not like, I have to feel like I have to get more Avatar in me. I have to experience more Avatar. But I mean, who knows? By the time these movies come out, our kids could be like experience this for the first time.
Right.
So who knows? Yeah.
So that's an update on that. Last bit of news. What's kind of cool. It's kind of like our first glimpse more into this. There's this new movie coming out this December. It's Star Fighting Star
Jumper.
Star Jumper. Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Yes.
So Disney had like a shareholder meeting of something of that sort where they showed a bunch of what they do is they show a bunch of what's coming out this year, what Disney has going on, and one of those things that they showed was a very mini. Like shots of some things that you'll see in The Last Jedi.
How dare they?
I know. And so I can't help but that's what people might see at Star Wars Celebration, which they've had every year for the last X amount of years.
Yeah.
And but there's a lot of stuff that are givens that they showed them, but there are some other things that are kind of cool actually. So you had some guys like randomly sending out tweets about what they were seeing, which is surprising to me because if they wanted to keep it under wraps, they would. Disney's good about that sort of thing, and they'll redact and do that sort of thing.
Right.
But
I was surprised when they started saying Jar Jar was in the movie.
I know. It's so weird.
Totally kidding, folks. Totally kidding, yeah.
But so a couple of things just to kind of mention. They had some good write-ups, and I'll give credit to the site that I'm reading it from. It's StarWarsNewsNet.com. Looks like they always have some really awesome stuff going on here. But a couple of things. Luke, a couple bullet points. Luke in a hut on Octu, which is that island that you see him in at the end of The Force Awakens, asking Rey, "Who are you?" And then we see Finn in a First Order uniform on the bridge of a Star Destroyer, which is interesting. Because, he was in the First Order, but then he left the First Order, didn't want to have anything to do with them, or do with the First Order. We see a glimpse of General Leia, several shots showing Rey spinning her lightsaber. It looks like she's training. We see Captain Phasma, so she survived the trash chute. It seems like. Yeah. We see Chewie roaring, Poe in his X-wing cockpit yelling, "It's now or never," or probably something cooler than that.
It's not now or next Tuesday.
and he's saying it to BB-8 apparently.
Yeah.
And then we see some ships flying in space, and X-wing coming in for a crash landing. It's like wobbling or something like that. In addition to that, we see. And this is the one that I'm really interested in. So we have this assumption that Rey is going to be training. There's this thing where you see Rey's hand on the ground, and all around it you see like rocks and pebbles starting to fly up, like kind of in the Force, like she's moving them, which is really cool, very exciting to me. It's kind of given stuff, but I don't know. And does that elicit any more excitement?
No, not really. I think at this point I'm waiting to see some of the footage. I it'll be interesting to see where they go with this, because I know they've talked a lot about the idea and the fact that this movie is probably going to go a lot darker. It's probably going to go more along the lines of like they did with the second Star Wars movie, which is kind of like, you know, it had a lot of people getting in some really bad situations, and so we'll see how that goes. I'm not to say that I'm not interested in following up with Rey. I think the thing to me is that her training, based upon how they left things with the last movie, I'm not really excited to see her get stronger and get more powers, because she's already, and this sounds really bad, but she's already beaten the bad guy. So, I mean, to me, I need this film to kind of show her not being strong enough. So that would make the next film more interesting to me. You know, like in the second film of Star Wars, you know, you have Luke getting his hand chopped off and showing that he's not developed enough. Oh, geez,
spoiler,
you know, and they had some good, shocking twists there, but like his hand getting chopped off and showing that he's still not strong enough. He's still not there enough. He's still not good enough to overcome the strength of the Empire.
Right.
And I really need to kind of see that with the second movie, because in the first film, half of it was spent kind of regurgitating elements of the original trilogy.
This is where we differ a little bit.
Yeah, and then also I think the other half of the movie was it made the current group of bad guys look to be very inadequate. I mean, they blew their planet up.
Right.
One of their main, forces of the dark side is beaten in battle
Death
by
Star
Rey.
3.0.
Yeah, and so it's like, well, you kind of beat everything, and you're not really. It's not like you're too weak, you know what I mean? So they really need to present a new force here in my mind that can overcome them and Rey and everything like that. So I do want to see her get stronger. I think that'd be cool, but I'm not like, the cool thing about the first movie in a lot of ways with the original Star Wars is that he doesn't even really use the Force. Like he kind of you get an inkling of it, you get a sense of it, but it's very clear in the second movie. It's like, okay, Rey's got some pretty strong indicators of the Force. So I think maybe you'll see her. Maybe she's like loses control. Maybe she like doesn't have full control. Maybe her power is like so big or intense that she can't control it. You know
she's
what I mean?
Like the Phoenix or Jean Grey.
There you go. Yeah, and her power just like blowing up everywhere or something like that. So I don't know. I'm excited. I am excited for the movie. There's certain elements of it that I'm more excited about, and certain elements I'm not more excited about. I want to find out where Rey comes from. I want to find out what happens with Luke. I want to find out what happens with the Empire.
Yeah. Or the First Order now.
The First Order. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I should say that. That's that's much more accurate. So, I thought that was pretty cool. Any thoughts for you?
No, I agree with some of the stuff you're saying. I want to see her get stronger. I'm excited about seeing it. But that's really it.
Yeah. So that is going to be all then for our conversation today on Coming Soon in News. We are going to go ahead and sign off, but I wanted to remind you guys that here at the end, just again about the contest that we have going on our social media sites. Facebook and Instagram, easy to sign up. Just tag us at Real Review Media. Can't say that. At Real Review Media with a photo of some movie or show you're looking forward to. And as always, you can connect with us on Facebook at /Real Review Media and on our website, realreviewmedia.com, where we have our newsletter. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, maybe thoughts about Star Wars, maybe I'm way off base on everything I'm saying with Star Wars, you can definitely send us a email at realreviewmedia@gmail.com. And that's it. So anything else, Matt?
No, that's it, man.
No?
Okay. Well done.
Well, it's been real.
It's been real.